Okay, so we are starting now. Come back soon. So I hope you are having proper diet, etc. Okay, and remember, very important thing in the life is what? Having a schedule. So please make a daily schedule, routine schedule, and try to follow, okay, so that you are able to achieve success. Okay, like whatever time you wake up, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, then what do you do? So what you can do is morning you can use a session for revision. Like let's say you wake up 8 o'clock, so till 8 to 9 take breakfast, etc. 9 to 12 you use for revisions. Okay, use for revisions and MCQs. Okay, then 12 to 8 either there is a class or self study, whatever. Okay, if you're doing self study or class or whatever, okay, notes. Okay, then again 8 we will have 8 to 9 dinner, etc. So 9 to 12 again you will do same class revision. Okay, these revisions, revision of notes. Okay, so that's why you will be able to get an output of almost 10-12 hours daily. Okay, clear? And MCQs. So if you follow this basic routine, it will be very beneficial. Okay, this time is mainly for class or self study. Okay, and you are also getting 6 hours of self study time, okay, or revision time. Okay, so this would be the perfect. And in the night before sleeping you can do a rapid recap. Okay, and then you can sleep at 12, 1 or 2 so that you are able to maintain. And you can या पनिमायु परुस्की पतामुस्तया बिल मनोगा रास्ताम. ओके, मनोगा. ओके, निजनायु कोलका और मनोगा. ओके, उमनिया बिल खरशे द्रुकताम मनोगा द्रुक. ओके, पद्रुगा तुझे. ओके, बिला बिला. ओके, अना बिला सेचस नियत. ओके, लेट्स स्टार्ट. ओके, द क्लास. ओके, now we have a look at the main resistance vessel. Okay, so the main resistance vessel, okay, so people ask me how I learn Russian. The same way most boys learn Russian there. Okay, so main resistance vessel is arteriole. Yeah, are arterioles. Are arterioles. Are you clear? Now these arterioles are having what property that makes them men? First is because they are having what? A maximum smooth muscle. Maximum smooth muscle. Okay, clear? So maximum smooth muscle. MCQ. So this question was asked recently in 2017 exam December. Ki arterioles which has the highest smooth muscle? The answer is arterioles, and they have a rich sympathetic supply. Okay, clear? Okay, so rich sympathetic supply. Okay, clear? Okay, okay. So पदरुगा का बाय बाय हो गया. ठीक है, पदरुगा ने रुका दिखा दिया मुझे और चली गई. ठीक है, चलो. सिंपैथेटिक सप्लाई. ओके ओके, पगोदा और पदरुगा Nikagda Virit. Okay, so rich sympathetic supply. Okay, so what happens? Alpha 1 and beta 2 receptors. So alpha 1 cause vasoconstriction, beta 2 cause vasodilation. So beta 2 causes vasodilatation in this particular case. Okay, so vasodilatation. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, now vasoconstriction is having which all features? First example, skin, kidneys, GIT. Okay, muscles. Okay, where? Like in shock. So in shock there is vasoconstriction occurring. That's why skin can become cold, kidneys make less urine, GIT shut down, and the muscles become paralyzed. Okay, why? Because they are not having the blood supply. Okay, clear? Okay, so personal questions ask me personally. Okay, don't ask me in public forum. Okay, fine. चलो, vasodilation, okay, where few sites, okay, few organs there is vasodilatation. Like which ones? Let's see. One is exercising muscles because they need the blood. Then also sweat glands to make the sweat during exercise. So again, exercise, you have sweat glands, and also uterus. That is why a pregnant female who's physically active is at less risk of harm. Okay, so pregnant female, uterus. Okay, now question is, are you clear with this all? Okay, question is, where are the arterioles offering the resistance? So they are offering the resistance where? Arteries are where? At the level of organ. Arterioles are at the level of tissue. Okay, so that is why write down arterioles offer resistance at tissue level. Where? At tissue level. That is periphery to heart. Okay, that is periphery to heart. That is periphery to the heart. Are you clear? So that is periphery to heart. Okay, so that is why, see, this is heart, these are the organs. Organs contain tissue. So what is there at the level of tissue? The answer is, at the level of tissue we are having arterioles. So that is why capillaries supply the cells, but who's supplying the tissue? Arteriole. So that's why we say they are center periphery. So they are at the peripheral level. Okay, so that is why they are main site of peripheral resistance. So who is the main site of peripheral resistance? The answer is PR. Answer is arteriole. Answer is arteriole. So if there is a high peripheral resistance, heart will find it difficult to pump blood to them. Are you getting the question? So what is the logic here? The heart is at the periphery, okay, or center. Organs are at periphery. So resistance at the level of tissue, organ tissue are same thing, okay, like parenchymatous tissue. So organs contain different tissue and that create the organ, okay. So therefore they are offering resistance where? At the periphery. So if the peripheral resistance increase, the heart will find it difficult to push blood to these organs. So that is why it will increase the burden on the heart. So understand, increase PR will increase load on ventricle. And when is this load felt? When the ventricles are relaxing? No, when they are pushing blood against the resistance. Okay, which act when? So will increase the PR. So will increase load on ventricle, which act when contraction start. Which act after contraction. Which act after contraction start. Hence called as afterload. Afterload. So remember, peripheral resistance is afterload. Okay, and how to remember? See, it is after the contraction starts. So that is why the name given, it's a load but after. So what is the simple formula to remember? See, preload is basically EDV, that is volume filled, and afterload is basically resistance, that is peripheral resistance. Okay, that is the resistance you need to overcome. Okay, so it is a resistance. Okay, so that is why if you change the EDV, it is preload. If you change the resistance, it is afterload. So that is why, how can you change preload or afterload? So let's say when you give diuretics, there is decreased volume and this cause a decrease EDV and decrease preload. So that is why diuretics or ACE inhibitors, they decrease the volume and the is. Okay, even ACE inhibitors, okay, or ACE inhibitors, because they decrease the aldosterone. Okay, So they are basically causing what? They are causing a decrease in the EDV and they are causing a decrease in the preload. Are you clear? So EDV and the preload. Are you clear? Fine. Now comes the question. So question is, if you give vasodilators, then it cause decrease resistance and decrease afterload. So that is why in a failing heart we use all these techniques. So that is why in congestive heart failure treatment, what are we going to do? So first is we will try to decrease what? So what we do? We can give diuretics or ACE inhibitors if volume is increased. Then what we can give? We can give vasodilators. Okay, okay. So we can give vaso. Then we can give what? The inotropic agents. Okay, clear? And we can also decrease the heart rate by giving the calcium channel blockers, etc. So that's why these are the main. Okay, and plus minus we can give beta blocker. Okay, why? To decrease the heart rate. So it depends on condition to condition, so we're not mentioning it. So if there's a tachycardia, then we can give the beta blocker. Okay, fine. So these are the basic idea for treatment. Okay, so what is the purpose of diuretics? They decrease the preload, so they will decrease the preload. Dilators will decrease the afterload and they will increase contraction. Easy. So these are the three main primary. Plus you can give oxygen, we can give other therapies to, yes, give supportive care. Okay, so diuretics to decrease the preload, vasodilators to decrease the afterload, and inotropic agents to increase the contractility. Are you clear here? Okay, let's move further. Next we will see is, right, the blood flow regulation. So we'll use a very simple idea. It say F is P by R. F is P by R. What is F? Flow, blood flow. So it depends on P. What is P? Pressure. Okay, mainly arterial pressure. And R. What is R? Resistance. Okay, it is mainly arterioles at tissue level, which I discussed already. So in simple language, if you want to change the blood flow, you can do what? You can either change the pressure or you can change the resistance. Now pressure is not changed much. Why? Because it is maintained in normal range. So pressure is more or less same. Okay, so first question is, it is maintained same. Okay, so it is almost same everywhere in all arteries. 120 by 80 mm Hg. So that is a very important concept. Okay, so it is maintained almost the same in all arteries. How much? 120 by 80. So 120 by 80. Are you clear? So 120 by 80 is the value. Okay, so it's not changing, it is maintained the same everywhere. Okay, fine. So obviously if it is maintained the same, it is same, not changing. So what becomes the changing factor? It is resistance. So if you decrease the resistance, flow will increase and vice versa. So what is the technique for controlling the blood flow to the organs? The answer is resistance. So therefore the blood flow to the organs is controlled by change in the resistance. If an organ want more flow, dilate the vessel. Less flow, constrict the vessel. So that is why organs control their own blood flow by changing their resistance. Are you clear? So they are going to change their resistance. Okay, so that means they control their own flow. This is called as auto regulation of flow. So I hope it's clear. So what is it called as? It is called as the auto regulation of flow. How to understand? See, auto means own. So organ control its own flow, and obviously flow is flow, and regulation what is control. So are you controlling the flow? Yes. How? I'll give example. Skeletal muscle at rest are not working, so they have minimum blood flow. So example, skeletal muscles at rest have minimum flow. At rest, minimum flow. Minimum flow, okay. But during exercise, they want more flow. So during exercise, they have increased flow. How much? By 20 to 40 times. Are you getting the idea? So now the muscles are getting tremendous amounts of flow. So their problem is solved. So that means muscles will receive more blood at rest or exercise. This is called as auto-regulation. What is it called? This is auto-regulation. Are you clear? So how does this occur? Mechanism. So let's say mechanism. Mechanism is simple. The formula of flow is P by R. P by R, okay. Flow is P by R. So if you want to increase the flow, one is increase the pressure, decrease the resistance. So easy. So if you want to increase the flow during the exercise, what do? Increase the pressure and you decrease the resistance. Now, how do you increase the pressure? Understand, there's an increased sympathetic which increase systolic BP, okay, systolic BP, okay, clear? So we'll increase the systolic BP. How much? 20 to 40%. And there is a fall in the resistance. So there is a massive vasodilation, okay, clear, by local metabolites, okay. So when you exercise, these metabolites accumulate, okay, and that cause what? Decrease, that cause decrease resistance, also decrease PR, and it causes increased flow. This is called as auto regulation. So when you exercise, the muscles will have lots of local metabolites and they will cause vasodilation. So therefore the resistance fall and the flow increase. So that is the technique. Now what are the metabolites? Let me explain. The easy technique is when you are doing exercise, the muscles will do more metabolism and they make lactic acid, carbon dioxide, okay. Then increase temperature, which I have discussed already in, yes, right shift, left shift, increase temperature, okay, hypoxia, then ADP, potassium, H+, that is acidosis, which I discussed already. All these are called as local, and adenosine, okay, and substance P. So all these are called as local metabolites. So where are they produced? In the muscle, and they do vasodilation. They do vasodilation. So that's why the muscle blood flow will increase and your problem will decrease. Your problem will decrease, okay. So simple language, when you are exercising, let's say when I'm writing or walking, my muscles want more blood. So what they do? They will do more metabolism and they increase lactic acid, carbon dioxide, high temperature, acidosis. I discussed them in right and left shift, and all these factors then cause vasodilation, and as vessel dilate, more blood will come. So more blood flow and muscles will now be having a increased blood flow. Is it clear? Like I am thirsty, I go to the water cooler, I take the bottle and I open the tap to drink it. So I am thirsty, I drink the water, problem solved. Muscle are thirsty for blood, they dilate the vessel, they get the blood. What is this called as? Auto regulation. This is auto regulation. Are you clear? Now one problem is there. If there is an increase in the demand, you dilate and get the case, but should you only increase the blood supply by dilating or also decrease the demand? We should decrease the demand also. And how is this accomplished? Lactic acid causes fatigue and substance P causes pain. So lactic acid cause. So that is why you will stop exercise after some time. So you will stop exercise due to pain. So that is why what happens, let's say you are running, why? A dog is after you, okay? So a dog, okay, sabaka is after you, okay? Now as this dog is after you, you are running, okay? Now you start feeling what? Fatigue, tired, and now what happens? You want to stop, but why you don't stop? The dog. So now you keep running, and now the muscles say, hey yaar, he keep running, stupid person. So now they start having pain, and now you are thinking, if I run, pain, dog bite me, pain, then why run? So now you stop running and you turn towards the dog. क्या करेगा? काटेगा? Come, ले bite, come bite, and now you just give up. So that is why this pain is a very, very important criteria. It's a very, very important criteria for your correction. Are you clear now? So therefore, is it important? Yes. Let me give an example. A person is having PVD. What is PVD? Peripheral vascular disease. Okay. Example, Berger disease. Again, it is basically caused by smoking. Most common is smoking. So it's also called as thromboangiitis obliterans. So thromboangiitis obliterans is the name, okay? So thromboangiitis. So when this person is, so what happens? He has very narrow vessels, especially legs, okay? So what happens? There's a poor flow. So at rest there is low demand, so no problem. So that is why when he start walking, what happens? Walking, there is what? Substance P and other inflammatory mediators, okay, like substance P, serotonin, bradykinin. So they accumulate and they cause pain. So when he is walking, pain is there. When he stop, pain disappear. Pain disappear. This is called as intermittent claudication. मतलब रुक के पेन आ रहा है. Intermittent claudication. Are you clear? So intermittent claudication, okay, and that indicate he should stop smoking and we should start the treatment. We can do sympathectomy or give vasodilators, anti-platelet drugs like clopidogrel. So we want to stop the process of the reduced blood supply, okay? So therefore pain appear and disappear, okay? And what is the next state? Next state is there would be pain at rest, okay? So now you will have rest pain also, pain at rest. So that is next step. And then there is what? Gangrene and ultimately amputation. So pain at rest and finally there would be gangrene. Which one? Dry gangrene. Why? Because there is an arterial occlusion. So gangrene and ultimately amputation. So what is the stage 1? It is claudication, then pain at rest, then there is ischemia and gangrene, okay, that is necrosis, and ultimately you have removed the case, okay. So first what occurs? First there is intermittent claudication, then there is pain at rest, and finally there is gangrene. Are you clear? So I hope it's clear. So finally there is gangrene taking place, okay. So gangrene, okay, fine. Now we see the concept one more. Hypoxia cause what? Vasodilation, okay, Radom. Hypoxia cause vasodilation. So hypoxia cause vasodilation. So it causes the vasodilation, okay, and everywhere. but in lungs cause vasoconstriction. So don't forget this. It's a very important finding. So hypoxia, you know lungs are reverse of body. So in lungs everything is reverse. Artery carry which blood? Oxy blood, but pulmonary artery carry deoxy. All veins carry which blood? They carry deoxy. Pulmonary vein carry oxy. Hypoxia cause what? Dilation everywhere, but in lungs it causes vasoconstriction. Don't forget this, okay? So it causes vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction. Are you clear? So I hope it's clear. Next is, what else do we see or we will have in this case? Okay. So are you clear here? Okay. Okay. Now let's start the funda. Is it clear to this point? Okay. Okay. Now write the formula of resistance. Okay. Resistance is, R is resistance. It is 8 eta L by pi R4. Okay. So 8 eta L by pi R4. यूज से सर क्या फॉर्मूला है बताता हूँ. पहला 8 को भगा दो, 8 कुछ नहीं नंबर है, पाई कुछ नहीं हटा दो. ओके. सो जस्ट फोकस ऑन व्हाट? ओनली फोकस ऑन, रिमूव देम. Focus on this symbol. This N-like symbol is called as eta. It is viscosity. What does viscosity means? How thick the blood is. I'll give example. Take a bottle and put a straw and try to drink. Is water easy to drink with straw? Yes. Okay. But now take a glass of honey. Honey has more viscosity. It's very thick. So now try to drink honey with straw. What happened? Will the honey flow? No. Why? It is not moving, flowing. Why? Because of high viscosity, high resistance. So making effort to suck the honey, rather than honey coming in the mouth, your lungs might come out. Sorry. So that is the problem with high viscosity. So understand, increase RBC, increase protein, make the blood thicker. So they will make the blood thick, and that will cause a increase viscosity. So that cause a increase viscosity. Also decrease temperature. Remember, everything freeze at low temperature. तो लो टेम्परेचर पे फ्रीज. तो ये तीनों एक साथ हो गए. सो मोर आरबीसी, मोर प्रोटीन एंड डिक्रीज टेम्परेचर कॉज हाई विस्कोसिटी. ओके. देन कम द फैक्टर ऑफ द रेडियस. आर. आर इज रेडियस. Now radius is most important factor. Why? Due to fourth power effect. So what is the effect? Fourth power effect. So that is why if you change the radius by any amount, the resistance change by fourth power effect. It was asked in the December 2000 and not 19. It is June 2019. They asked this question. How? I'll give you. Okay. If we increase radius by 2 times, we get a decrease resistance by 2 times. No, 2 to the power 4 times. 2 to the power 4 times. Are you clear? So 2 to the power 4 times. Are you clear? So it will change in this manner. So which time? 2 to the power 4 times. That is 16 times. So are you clear? This is the fourth power effect. Are you clear? So if you change radius by 2 times, resistance will change not by 2 times but 2 to the power 4 times. That is 2, 2, 2, 2. That is 16 times. 2 into 2 into 2 into 2. Clear? So that is the question they might ask, and it is already been asked. So that's the case. Okay. So now the last is L. What is L? Length of the vessel. L is length of the vessel. So what is L? Length of vessels. Okay. L is length of the vessel. So let's attention. If a very long vessel is there, it will be easy or difficult to, yes, make the blood flow. So that's why it has a higher resistance. So longer the length, more the resistance. So that's why longer length, more resistance. So longer length, more resistance. Are you clear? So longer length, more resistance. Example, pulmonary vessels are short, they have low resistance, systemic have high. So remember, pulmonary vessels are shorter, so they have low resistance and they have low pressure. Okay, what? 25/10. Whereas systemic vessels, see, hands are so long, lungs are very near the heart. So what is longer away from heart? Systemic vessels. So systemic vessels, that is to what? To the brain, the legs, the muscles. Systemic vessels are longer. So that is why they have high resistance and high pressure. How much? 120/80 mmHg. So that is why which vessels are longer? Systemic vessels are longer and they have a higher resistance. Okay, so they have a higher resistance. Okay, so this is a one line summary you have to understand. Okay, so they are having higher resistance and they are having lower resistance. Okay, so are you clear here? Okay, so done. Okay, now comes the second important question. Okay, so what is the second important question we have here? Okay, what is the BP then? Okay, so now we'll discuss blood pressure and then we'll start the CNS. Blood pressure. Okay, so first we see the estimation. And what is the principle? Bernoulli's theorem. So they will not ask you what is Bernoulli's theorem, but yes, they might ask you BP estimation depends on which theorem? Bernoulli's theorem. Okay, if you want to remember that, it say potential energy and kinetic energy are always constant. Okay, so what it say? It say sum of kinetic and potential energy is constant. This is called as the Bernoulli's theorem. Okay, so let me give an idea. See, this is the vessel, this is PE plus KE and their sum is constant. And this constant sum is what the pressure is. Okay, they will not ask you anything else, they will just ask you name of Bernoulli's theorem. They have already asked this thing in the future, past, they might ask in future. So what does Bernoulli's theorem say? It says sum is constant, sum is constant. This is Bernoulli's theorem. Don't have to remember anything, forget the physics, just come to the applied part. There are two methods of BP estimation. So there are two methods of BP estimation. Okay, so what are these two methods? So let me explain. Okay, first is understand direct method, indirect. Give more space to indirect. Like I'll give example. When you're writing, don't make half, make 1/3, 2/3 like this. Give more space to indirect. Why? I'll tell you. So direct method, indirect. In direct, you take a cannula and directly insert in the artery. So this is direct measurement. Okay, so what? Intra-arterial catheter BP recording. So intra-arterial catheter BP recording. Are you clear? So intra-arterial catheter BP recording. Now comes the indirect. Indirect what? You are not going in the artery. You tie a cuff around the artery. So that's why it is manometer. Sphygmomanometer. Okay, sphygmo. So what is the principle here? First is you tie a cuff around the arm and compress brachial artery. So BP cuff, okay, it will compress brachial artery. Okay, so it will compress the brachial artery. Okay, compress the brachial artery, and as you compress the brachial artery, what happens? The flow becomes turbulent, so it causes turbulent flow, and that cause Korotkov sounds. Again, they might ask this in the exam. Korotkov sounds. Okay, so Korotkov sounds give the BP. How? When they appear, it is phase 1, it is SBP, and when they disappear, it is phase 5, DBP. So appear is SBP, disappear is DBP. Appear is SBP, and where you tie the cuff? You tie the cuff arm, okay, in the arm. So tie the cuff in the arm above the brachial artery. As the artery get compressed, the flow become turbulent. Turbulent flow is noisy, so it causes sound. These sound appear SBP, disappear is DBP. Okay. So obviously intra is much simpler. You just insert and see the pressure. Let's say you insert the cannula and see the rise in pressure, that is direct. Okay. So that is why direct is best. It is most accurate. So it is most accurate, but least use. Why? By BP record करने के लिए you cannot directly insert, so that is why least use, as it is invasive. So because it is invasive in nature, it is used the least. Okay, so why it is least use? It's a invasive procedure. It's a invasive procedure. It is less accurate, but non-invasive. That is why most used method. So what is the most used method? It is the yes. Okay. Now what is the problem with Sphygmo is, in Sphygmo you are tying the cuff not on the artery but on the arm. So that is why there is too much soft tissue, fat in the arm. It will complicate the value. So remember, soft tissue of arm tend to give false high BP. Okay, example, obese person. So in a obese person, the arm is having lots of fat, so BP cuff will not be able to properly compress, and that's why you have to apply extra pressure to compensate the fat to be nullified. So that is why it tends to give a false high BP. What person? Obese person. When you use which method? Sphygmo. So how can you correct the problem? Don't say remove the soft tissue. इसे तो काट के मैं आर्टरी में ना घुसेड़ लूं. So that's why we cannot remove the soft tissue. So therefore what happened? Obese person is having more soft tissue, so give a higher BP. So what do you do? So therefore to correct the effect, so therefore to reduce error in BP estimation due to soft tissue of arm, we use cuff size as per arm size. So if arm is big, we use a big cuff. If arm is small, we take small cuff. So bigger arm, big cuff, smaller one, we use small cuff. Okay, so that is why the cuff size should be as per the arm size, Okay. Example, what? So write down length and width. So cuff length and cuff width. So length should be 2/3 of mid-arm circumference. And width should be 1/3 of mid-arm circumference. So don't forget this. It's a important factual question. Okay, what is the correct dimension of BP cuff? Okay, and what is the adult cuff size? So adult cuff is 23 centimeter into 12.5 centimeter. So 23 centimeter multiplied with 12.5 centimeter is the size of what? Adult cuff. Are you clear? So it is the size of which cuff? Adult cuff that we have or we will see. Okay. So 23 centimeter into 12.5. Okay. Now we see types of BP. Types of BP. Okay. So we will learn the types of BP. First is understand systolic BP, SBP. So what is the normal value? So normal is less than 120 mmHg. Less than 120. Okay, clear? And what is then hypertension and range? So range is 90 to 140 is the range. So now please understand 2-3 things. You will not have to forget them. If it is less than 90, it is hypotension seen in shock. If it is more than 140, this is hypertension. Now in America, they've started using 130 as hypertension, but in India, we still use 140 as hypertension. So please don't make a blunder taking American values. कुछ होंगे अंग्रेज अमेरिकन बच्चे हमारे यहाँ पे, I agree, okay, but we Indians use. Otherwise, you take 130, half the Indians will immediately become hypertensive, clear? And then नमक खाना बंद, and without salt नहीं हो पाएगा भाई. We Indians love salt. We love sugar. We cannot survive without them. Clear? So that's why we cannot take which value? 140 is the value for hypertension, not 130. 130 लेंगे तो even I can be hypertensive. I have not measured my BP long time, 5-6 weeks. I have not, maybe a month or 2 months. So therefore, if you check your BP, most likely it will be 110, 122 something. So that is why they are advising one. Okay, fine. Then 2-3 question, I will make it easy for you so that you never ever have a problem in understanding the values of the BP. Are you clear now? Okay. So first is, what are the various different values for this? Okay. So let's start. Okay. First is, what is it produced by? So it is produced by ventricular pumping. So as ventricle contract, it push blood into artery, so that will be producing. So it is produced by what thing? It is produced by, it is produced by ventricular pumping. So when ventricle pump blood, it push blood into artery, and this pressure of the blood in the artery is the concept. I hope it's clear. So this is the concept we will see or we will have. Okay, clear? Done? Okay. Now what is it depends on? So it mainly depends on cardiac output. It mainly depend on cardiac output, CO. So what is it dependent on primarily? The answer is, it is dependent on the which value? Yes, okay. Yes, it is dependent on the cardiac output. Okay. So start now. So first we have discussed that. Now we see the second value, that is DBP. What is the normal? 80. Range 60 to 90. So remember 60 to 90. Okay, so 69. Okay, 69. Okay, 60 to 90. Okay, so what is hypo and hyper? Less than 60 and more than 90. So please copy them. Clear? So less than 60 is hypo, more than 90 is hypertension. What is it produced by? So just copy, then I'll help you write further and I'll make you clear in each and everything here. Okay. Okay. So copy please. Okay. Now as we all know, diastolic pressure is not produced by ventricle, it is produced by elastic recoil by aorta. I discussed that already, remember diagram? So elastic recoil. So systolic pressure is pumping of the ventricle, diastolic is recoil of aorta. And what does it mainly depends on? It depends on peripheral resistance. Okay, peripheral. How? I'll explain in a very simple diagram. Please pay attention and don't ever make a mistake. If you understand it here, you will never ever make a mistake in solving the question of cardiovascular. We have done the MI. ECG I have discussed, arrhythmia, you can see that later on YouTube. Then we have discussed what? The problems of heart failure, congestive heart failure, Framingham criteria. Now we are discussing hypertension. Okay, infectious disease we are not discussing, they will be discussing medicine. So these four are the primary disorders on which MCQ come. Which one? The MI, anginas, clear? That is the coronary artery disease. Then arrhythmias, bundle branch block, AV block, all this. Okay, they are discussing ECG part. Third are the heart failures, right heart, left heart, and fourth is hypertension. So we are discussing hypertension now. So first is, let me explain you what is the concept of hypertension and BPs. Let's say the artery. Okay, so in artery there is blood, and this blood inside create the pressure. So this is called as BP. So BP is because of what? The blood inside the artery. Are you clear? So this blood inside the artery will keep pushing the arteries. So this is called as BP. Okay, done. Now more the blood you put in the artery, more the pressure. So two things decide the pressure. One is how much cardiac output you are pushing by what? Left ventricle and aorta. So what they do? They push blood into the artery called as cardiac output. Now if you increase cardiac output, there would be less or more blood? There would be more blood, and that will increase the BP. Are you now getting the idea? So if you put too much blood in the vessel, it will cause increased cardiac output, and that increase the BP. So increase cardiac output cause increased BP. Example I have discussed already. First example, when we give IV fluids, the BP increase in shock. Why? More fluid, more EDV, more stroke volume, Frank Starling more. Or when you give sympathetic stimulation, like what? Like exercise, again there is increased stroke volume, increased heart rate, increased cardiac output, BP increase. So that's why in exercise or hypovolemic shock, when you give this, the BP will increase. Or in cardiogenic shock, when you give inotropic agents, the BP will increase. So three example: inotropes, exercise, and IV fluids. They all increase the BP by increasing cardiac output. Are you clear now? Okay. Now is it the only factor which decide the BP? No, no, no. The second factor is peripheral resistance. This is the resistance, PR, peripheral resistance. Who cause? Arterioles. What are these things? These are capillaries. This is capillaries. So blood will now go to capillaries. Okay. So question is, capillaries are sitting for exchange, but who decide how much blood the capillaries will get? The answer is peripheral resistance. Answer is peripheral. So let's say you do vasoconstriction. So now what happens? The peripheral resistance will increase. If it increase, it will prevent the blood from going from arteries to capillary. So blood will accumulate here. So blood will accumulate here. Why? Because high resistance is decreasing the blood to capillary and accumulating in the artery, again increase BP. So that is why increase PR will increase the BP, mainly DPP. So that means if you want to increase BP, you can either increase the cardiac output or you can increase this. Example, when you do vasoconstriction, when you give adrenaline etc., it increase BP by vasoconstriction. So simple diagram, what are the two techniques of what? Controlling BP. Either control the amount of blood coming to the artery or control the amount of blood going out of the artery into the capillary. How? Vasodilation by arteriole. So what are the two factors which decide the BP? Cardiac output, peripheral resistance. Cardiac output, peripheral resistance. Cardiac output, peripheral resistance. More the cardiac output, more the BP. More the resistance, the blood will shift or accumulate. More the value. So are you clear? So this is a very simple concept. So I hope all are able to understand and get this concept clear. So this is the funda we will see or we will have in this particular case. Done. Okay. Now what are the other BPs? So just write the name. One more thing, for the staging of hypertension, just remember a very simple rule. 140/90 are hypertension and just increase 20 to this. Okay, so I'll just say what is the concept. More than 180 SBP and or more than 110 DBP is a hypertensive urgency, and if and organ, example kidney, brain, heart involved, if and organ involved, it is called as urgency to emergency. So how to remember? Remember 180 or 110. 180 or 110 is what? It is a very high BP. It is called as urgency. Urgent care is needed. You need to decrease the BP, okay? It is called as hypertensive urgency. Decrease the BP. But if there is an involvement of and organs, emergency. So what is urgency? Both are urgency. But if and organ, it is emergency. Like if kidney is failed, it become an emergency. Stroke, etc. So example, if there is MI, stroke, renal failure or any pulmonary edema, etc., they all become emergency. So high BP alone without involvement of organ is urgency. Involvement of organs become urgency. So कैसे याद करना है? E and organ, E emergency. No and organ involved, only high BP. This is hypertensive. Example is when NB gave the paper and you are seeing the paper, you are in hypertensive urgency, and because of anger, let's say some bad thing occur, like your brain, some vessel get injured, something, and that creates some stroke. Now you are in emergency. Okay, so emergency, urgency, and in emergency you basically tackle not the BP, you tackle the end organ first. Okay, yes, the goal is to reduce the BP, but take care of the organ first. In urgency, the target is what? Basically decrease. How? I'll discuss very soon. Okay, so I hope you are getting the full concept of medicine here. Okay, urgency and emergency. Okay, now we will see other BPs. Number 3 is pulse pressure. PP. So pulse pressure is PP. Formula SBP minus DBP. Okay, so SBP minus DBP. So clear? Okay, so what is the value normal? 40 mmHg, and one question remember, it indicate stroke volume, okay, and also arterial compliance. They all are asked in exam and time is not there to explain. Clear? So just remember, it indicate how well the arteries can stretch and recoil. That is compliance. Okay, why? Because compliance decides the diastolic and that will decide the pulse pressure and blood flow. 3 things. So it can use to indicate stroke volume. So if pulse pressure is very less, it indicates there is a very small amount of what? Pulse volume coming to the organs. Okay, there is stroke volume. Okay, so it indicate the stroke volume, all this. Okay, SV, stroke volume. Okay. Fourth is MBP or MAP. This is what I am going to put my emphasis on. Okay, so what is MBP? Mean blood pressure, mean BP or mean arterial BP. Okay, so mean BP or mean arterial pressure. Now what is the value? It is 95 to 100 mmHg. I hope it's clear. What is this thing? This is your mean blood pressure. Are you clear? So mean blood pressure is this particular value. We will see. Okay. Now what is the formula and definition? So it is average pressure in arteries during cardiac cycle. Are you clear? So mean pressure in arteries during the cardiac cycle is given which name? It is called as the MBP. And write the formula of MBP. It is dBP plus 1/3 of pulse pressure, or a second formula is also there, which is 2 dBP plus SBP by 3. So 2 dBP plus SBP by 3 is another formula. Okay, so 2 dBP plus SBP by 3. Okay, by 3. Okay, so is it clear now? Fine. Okay, now understand the whole story. Okay, what is the formula of flow? F is P by R. We all know this. F is P by R. Okay, now what is the flow given by heart to the entire body? The answer is, it is called what? It is called as the cardiac output. So flow to body is cardiac output. Yes or no? 5 liter. What is the pressure heart generate to pump this blood? It is called as BP. So BP is generated by heart to pump the cardiac output. And what is the resistance offered by all organs? It is PR or TPR. That is total peripheral resistance. So in simple language, we can simplify the formula of this as this one. Cardiac output is BP by PR. Cardiac output is BP by PR. Okay, so cardiac output is blood pressure by peripheral resistance. So cardiac output is what? BP by peripheral resistance. Okay, so we can shift the PR there and we can write a final statement. BP is cardiac output times peripheral resistance. Please copy this. This is one of the most important things. It will help you understand and solve the questions. Okay, so blood pressure is nothing but a relation between cardiac output and PR, and I have given this thing already when I was discussing this particular diagram. Okay, so what the diagram I was discussing? This one. Okay, that cardiac output is what? It is BP and PR. It is BP and the PR that we are seeing or having in this case. Are you clear? So what is the formula? It is cardiac output times PR. Cardiac output times PR. Same thing is here. It is cardiac output times PR. So let me now teach you. Okay, if you want to, let's say, decrease BP, what are they called as? Antihypertensives. Antiarrhythmic I have already discussed. So antihypertensives. Antihypertensives. Okay, so antihypertensives. So either you can decrease the BP or you can decrease the peripheral resistance. What you can do? Either decrease the PP or you can decrease the peripheral resistance. So are you clear? So these are the two main factors. Now what is the formula of cardiac output? So you know the formula is stroke volume into heart rate. Okay. Clear? So stroke volume into heart rate. Okay. Then what is PR? It is, you know the resistance. So how can you decrease the resistance? The answer is increase radius. How? Answer is vasodilation. So that means to control the BP, you can either decrease the stroke volume, decrease the heart rate, or cause vasodilation. So what are the three category of drugs available to us? They are the ones which decrease the stroke volume, decrease the heart rate, and cause vasodilation. So let's see, how can you decrease the stroke volume? First and the basic is we can simply cause a what? Beta blocker. Or we can give a diuretic, or we can give a ACE inhibitor or salt restriction. So understand, if you give a beta blocker, the heart rate will decrease, the BP will decrease. Why? Because of less pumping. So we know beta blocker cause decrease pumping by heart, especially beta 1. Then diuretics will decrease the volume, ACE will again decrease aldosterone and volume salt, and when so they all decrease what? Decrease the volume. So as you decrease the volume, the BP will fall. Heart rate, again beta blocker or CCB. So we discussed CCB decrease the heart rate, so CCB here. And dilation, again we can use CCB, amlodipine. So they are which drugs? Dipins. Okay, so they are amlodipine, nimlodipine, nicardipine. So they are dipins. Okay, so what drugs are these? These are the dipin drugs which are causing these changes. I hope it's clear. Okay, so dipins are the drugs. Are you clear? Dipins. Then we can give alpha blocker. Why? Because alpha blocker will, like example, what? Trazocine, prazosin. Okay, so they are sins. Okay, trazocine, prazosin. Okay, so these are the drugs. Okay, or we can give nitrates. What nitrates do? They release nitric oxide, and which cause vasodilation via cyclic GMP, which I discussed already. Okay, or we can give again ACE inhibitors or their brother ARBs. Why? They will decrease the angiotensin, and angiotensin cause tightening. So what they do? They block angiotensin actions. Okay, and angiotensin cause this. Okay, fine. Or we can give a which one? Are you clear? Okay, or we can give what? Alpha blocker. Labetalol or methyl dopa. They are alpha one. So methyl dopa. Okay, labetalol. So methyl dopa is alpha 2. It acts through alpha 2. Okay, and labetalol is combined. So they all are causing vasodilation and they decrease the BP. Okay, now what is the special thing? Just pay attention. Okay, in this, if you see carefully, some drugs are having multiple effects. Like beta blocker can decrease the stroke volume and they can decrease the heart rate also. CCBs can decrease heart rate and cause vasodilation, especially depends. Okay, then comes our category number 3. The ACE inhibitors decrease the salt to decrease the volume and also decrease angiotensin, so they cause vasodilation. Okay, clear. And diuretics last. So if you have these drugs, they become A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. ACE, beta blocker, CCB, diuretic. So these are the first line. They were the earlier first line. Now B अच्छा लगता है ना, BC क्या, BC करना. ठीक है, तो आजकल में क्या है, B को निकाल दिया. ठीक है, B भी नहीं है तो BB को निकाल दिया, तो ACD. So now B is out. So that's why A, C, D are first line antihypertensive drugs. So what are the first line antihypertensives? So first line antihypertensives are A, C and D. Which ones? A, C and D. A, C and D. Are you clear? So A, C and D are the ones. Are you clear? So A, C and D. So clear here? So how do we use? Now understand, a young patient is having very good heart, pumping lots of blood. Older people vessels become hard, stiff, so they are having problem of vessel. So that is why we will use different category in different. So how to remember? So remember 2. Okay, so if the age is less than 55 year or diabetes mellitus 2, or if advanced budhau age is more than 55 year. Okay, so if the age is less, most likely it is cardiac output which is high, so we will give ACE inhibitors as the first line treatment there, and in case this we give CCB. तो याद रखना, in young people we use ACE inhibitors, older we start with CCB. Are you clear? Older we start with the CCB. Okay, now if it works, BP control, if BP is controlled, is fine. If BP control or not, okay, if BP not control, then what do you add the C, so A plus C, and here you become C plus A. Are you clear? And still if not control, then we add a diuretic, So very simple, this algorithm you will remember. So younger patient 40 or 41, let's say me, okay, okay, I'm 55 or less, okay, I'm not 55, okay. So if you give me what, you should start with, yes, pills. They are pills. Which drugs? Enalapril, captopril, so pills. Okay, clear? Pills, okay. And you know pills are which drugs? Okay, they are all products except 2. So what is the mnemonic? Captain, listen. So lisinopril and captopril, they are not products, okay. So what is the mnemonic here? Captain, listen to me. Captain, listen to me. So captopril and lisinopril. So they are the pills. So what pills will start? ACE inhibitors we are starting. If not control, we add C here, और यहाँ पे we add what? We add the A, and if still not control, last is add diuretic, and if still not, we will then do further evaluation of the cause of hypertension. Is it easy? So younger patients ACE inhibitor, older ones CCB, older one CCB. Okay, so above 55 CCB, less than 55 ACE, less than 55 ACE. Are you clear? So I hope it's clear. Okay, so let's start. Okay, now last thing we will see is regulation of BP. Just take 5 minutes and we'll be over with this topic. So first is, remember, the CVS regulatory centers in Medla. Okay, so cardiovascular regulatory centers are in Medla. What are the 2 centers? They are VMC and they are CVC. So they are VMC and CVC. What is VMC? It is also called sometimes CIC. So VMC is vasomotor center, or CVC is cardiovagal center, or I is inhibitory. Okay, so cardiovagal or inhibitory center. Okay, so cardiovagal or inhibitory center. Okay, clear? So cardiovagal or inhibitory center. Are you clear? Done? Okay. Now what is VMC do? Okay, so it is in lateral medulla, it is in ventrolateral medulla. So location is ventrolateral. What does it? Increases sympathetic to heart and vessels. So in simple language, it's like a boost button. It boosts entire cardiovascular system. So what does it do? So it increases heart rate, increases stroke volume, increase cardiac output, increase BP, all. So one button shoot, it shoots everything. increase everything. On the other hand, cardiovagal center give what? Sympathetic, para. So it give parasympathetic by vagus nerve. So that's why it's actually what? Vagal nuclei. Okay. So what is CVC? Vagal nuclei. Okay, they are vagal nuclei. Okay, and give which nerve? It gives the vagus nerve. Okay, it gives the vagus nerve. Now what is the funda about the vagus nerve? So let me explain. First is vagus inhibit atria and nodal tissue. Are you clear? So it inhibit the atria and the nodal tissue. Okay, and the nodal tissue. Okay, and the nodal tissue. Okay, fine. How? Via M2 receptor. Sympathetic beta 1. So sympathetic beta 1 on the heart, and it is M2 on the heart. Okay. So question is, what are the effects? So first is it decreases heart rate. That causes decreased cardiac output and decreased BP. So all these will decrease. Heart rate, cardiac output, BP, all will decrease. Okay. Then it decreases conduction. And also excitability. So what is decreased conduction called as? Conduction. It is called as dromotropic, negative dromotropic effect. Okay. So what do you mean by conduction? Dromotropic. So remember, conduction, dromo, duction, duck. So how to remember? Aerodrome or the planes fly from drome. So you remember dromotropic is, yes, it is, yes, conduction. Okay. Excitability is called as negative bathymotropic. And how to remember? Okay, if someone is very excited, कहते हैं ना, I am very excited, and then he say, अरे यार nothing happened. क्या कहते हैं? वो कहते हैं ना आपका कि अरमानों पे पानी पड़ गया. Okay, that your all desires got washed away. So ऐसे आप करो. Bath, when you take a bath with cold water, all your excitement is gone. Or people, when they are going for some function, let's say marriage or something, they are taking good bath and they are very excited, something like that. Okay, so bathmo is excite, speed is conduction. So what is the conduction effect? It is the dromotropic effect. So conduction is which effect? Dromotropic effect. So conduction is dromotropic, excitability is bathymotropic. So now what are the four effects? Let me revise. Increased stroke volume is which effect? Inotropic is ino. Increase heart rate is chrono. Increase क्या था? Conduction is dromo. And lastly, increase what? Excitability is bathmo. So easy. So iono, chrono, dromo, bathmo. So iono, dromo, bathmo. So these are the four effects. Don't ever forget them. They are very, very essential. Okay, clear? And who give feedback to these centers of BP control? Baroreceptors control BP via VMC and CVC. How, what, when? Let me just explain in a very simple manner. So who is controlling the BP? Baroreceptor. I'll write BR. Baroreceptor. Okay. So first question, baroreceptor are for control of BP. They are what? They are acting as brakes. So what do they do? How they do? So first is baroreceptors sense MBP, sense and regulate MBP. Okay, clear? What is the range? In range of 60 to 180 mmHg. So first question, who makes sure the BP is not going out of the range? Baroreceptor. So they keep the BP in the range. Okay. Second, what they do? They sense the BP and then they correct. Okay. So first is they they always correct BP by inhibiting VMC, by inhibiting and stimulating CVC. So they are always going to inhibit the VMC and stimulate. So as a result, what happens? There is a decreased sympathetic, which cause decreased BP, decreased heart rate. This is called as what? This is called as negative feedback. Called as negative feedback. So let me explain. Understand. Who's trying to increase the BP? So VMC increases sympathetic and that increase the BP. Are you clear? So what is trying to increase the BP? Sympathetic. But as the BP increase, it is going to be sensed by baroreceptors, and baroreceptors then inhibit the VMC. They inhibit. This is called as negative feedback. And the result is what? The BP will rise? No, the BP will return to normal. So that is why they will make the BP return to normal. So that is why what happens? BP return to normal. So therefore, a very simple one-line summary. Let's say something increase the BP like VMC. Immediately baro check, they sense the change in BP, and the baro will say, hey VMC, please come. So decrease. So like it's a very hot room, so you will increase the cooling or vice versa. So that's why baro check the BP and tell the VMC, like if glucose level increase, insulin is released and that decrease the glucose by increase uptake. Same way, if BP increase, baro check it and it inhibit the VMC and decrease the BP back to normal. So BP will remain high? No, it will go back to normal value. This is what is called as baroreceptor effect. So if you destroy VMC, BP will fall. If you destroy baro, BP will increase. So that is why if we destroy baroreceptors, BP will increase because the brake is gone, as no one will be there to inhibit the VMC now. So BP will increase. Okay. So this increase in BP is abnormal. What is it called as? It is called as neurogenic hypertension. No need to remember the name. Just remember, if you cut the baroreceptor, the BP will increase. If you destroy the baroreceptors, the BP will increase. So destruction of baro cause a increase in the BP. Okay. And what is the location of baroreceptors? Location is near the heart. So what is the location? Near the heart, right? Location of baroreceptor. It is near the heart. So one is carotid sinus baroreceptors. Location bifurcation of common carotid artery. So bifurcation of common. Second is aortic sinus. Location, it is arc of aorta. Are you clear? And how will they act on VMC and CVC? So to reach the VMC and CVC, they use the nerve. So which nerve they use? This will use the two nerves to reach here and here. Answer is, it use the 10th nerve, vagus. It use the 9th nerve, glossopharyngeal. So that's why it use the vagus nerve and this. Okay. And these nerves combined are called as sinus or buffer nerves. Sinus or buffer nerves. Okay. So they will inhibit the VMC and they will stimulate the CVC. So increase or decrease BP, decrease BP, and decrease heart rate. So once again let me teach. Okay, when there is any change in the BP, so when there is any change in the BP, baroreceptor sense the BP, so they will sense BP. Once they sense the BP, they will do what? They will inhibit the VMC and stimulate the CVC. So BP will decrease and heart rate will decrease back to normal. So what is the result? The BP will fall. Example, carotid massage. It's a very important tool in a person with very high heart rate, tachyarrhythmia. Sometime when you are starting with the drug, we use vagal maneuvers like what? Carotid massage. So you can give a carotid massage which will increase the vagus nerve activity from baro and the heart rate will decrease. So what is one line summary? Baroreceptors are break in the arteries, carotid and the aortic, and they inhibit the sympathetic center VMC and decrease the BP. So what is the one line summary? Baroreceptors act as brakes. They decrease BP by inhibiting VMC, which is a sympathetic action. So what gives the sympathetic? This, and which nerve? By 9th and 10th nerve. 9th by aortic, aortic is 10th, carotid is easy. So once again summary, baroreceptor act as brake. Baroreceptor act as brake. What do? They decrease the BP, and they will also cause a inhibition of VMC. They cause a inhibition of VMC. Okay, and that causes a decreased BP, and they act through which nerves? They act through 9th nerve and the 10th nerve. 9th is carotid, 10th is aortic, and what they do? Decrease the BP. This is a summary of everything. Okay, clear? So we will take a break. Okay, 20 minutes. Okay, and then we will start with the series. Okay, or scene, sorry.